Good morning. So tomorrow is Halloween, and traditionally in the Celtic times it was the end of summer, Samhain, summer's end. And it was said that this day, Samhain, Halloween, that the veil between the two worlds is thin. The veil between this world and the afterlife. The colors of Halloween are black and orange. Black to remind us that we're heading into the dark days and by the way, next Sunday is daylight savings time. Fall back, you get an extra hour of sleep. And if you come to church early, then you can have some coffee in the library, I think. And orange for the bonfires, because they believed that the veil was thin. They also believed that sometimes the spirits would come out of the graves and they would want to go home, and particularly the spirits that were a little scary. So they would have bonfires in the community so that the spirits would be drawn to the bonfire rather than to individuals' homes. I think that Halloween is an opportunity for us to have fun and to look at that which scares us. In Europe in the old days, they would dress up. Again, it was to attract or scare the spirits away. And now we get to turn it into an art form. We get to have fun with it. Our kids go trick-or-treating, and they get to be whoever they want to be on this day. So it's an opportunity to take off the mask that we wear every day and put on a different one. It's an opportunity to look at those things, again, that scare us. My stepdaughter last year had a Halloween party, and she has a basement and an upper level, so she decided to have this big party, and the basement was going to be hell, and the upstairs was going to be heaven. So she decorated the downstairs in red and I guess heavy metal music, I don't know. And then upstairs was all floaty, and it was all gossamer and beautiful. And she said what was funny was everybody ended up in heaven. She thought for sure everybody was going to hang out downstairs in hell, but they didn't. So when you think about Halloween and you think about those things that scare you, what is it that scares you? What is it that scares you the most? And I suppose if we actually got quiet and thought about it, the thing that scares you is probably the thing that scares me, this thing that scares all of us, and that's the big D, death, It's going to happen to every single one of us. We don't know when it's going to happen, and we live in a denial of it ever happening. And the truth is that in Unity, we believe that we do not die, that we lay down the body, but the spirit and the soul exist. Many people in Unity believe in reincarnation as well. And so we believe that life is eternal, that life goes on. We simply change form. And yet, the truth is, the way we know that is through faith, right? Because I can know it, and I feel like I do know it with every fiber of my being, but the truth is I can't necessarily prove it. It's not like our loved ones, when they die, can send us a postcard, yeah? And say, hey, I'm okay, I'll see you, later when you get here, I'll see you. But there's no communication. It's like that veil drops and it's solid. It's like it's very hard to see through the other side. So it is also death, though, that makes life worth living. Because it is temporary, it makes every moment precious. It makes every encounter precious. And we forget that because we think we're going to be around here forever, and we're not. But it makes every moment special. So as we live in this time, in this day, tomorrow, of the veil being thin between the two worlds, and we move to the darkness, daylight savings time, the day shorter and shorter, it's an opportunity for us to start to focus on our inner light and to turn away from the outer light and to focus within. And perhaps it means, wherever you are in the dream sequence, it means to begin to redream. Or perhaps it means to stop and to rest and to breathe. If you were here from the very beginning of the year and you saw the ribbon that Annie had made about the dream sequence, there's always that place where we have to stop, we have to rest, we have to breathe so that we can begin the process over again. Last Saturday, we had the second of our dream workshops, and some of the same people were there from spring and some were new. But what I noticed when we were sitting in a circle and we were sharing with one another is how sacred an experience that was. And one of our people who was there said, as we were, because we went around and I said, I want you to be able to say your dream in like 2 sentences, just say it. And one person said, it's a little scary to do this. It's really scary because I don't tell anybody my dream because I'm afraid they're going to stomp on it. If I were to tell my family my dream, they would stomp on it instantly. And I said, what? That's not going to happen here. We are going to support you and we're going to see your dream manifesting for you and we're going to hold that in a sacred place. How many of you tell your dreams to people? Not your night dreams, but the dream that you have for your life, the dream that you have and the vision that you hold. Hopefully we have friends and family and close people to us that say, yes, I can see you doing this and I can see this manifesting through you. To share a dream with someone who's going to stomp on it is what Jesus was referring to when he said, don't cast pearls before swine. Don't cast pearls before swine. Why would you share your most brilliant ideas and your most sacred visions with someone who's just going to stomp on them and kill them before they even get out? So it's a very sacred experience to dream in community, to dream in a group and to support each other in that. And it's also a lot of fun when our dreams come true, when they manifest, when they happen. And it's important that we celebrate that. It's important that we mark it. And we have the big dreams that happen, like, getting married or graduating, buying a house or taking a trip. And we need to celebrate those, and we do, hopefully. And then there's the small ones, like, I meditated every day this week, or stayed with my exercise routine, or reached my weight goal, whatever that might be. It's important that we stop and breathe. So today at 12:30, as soon as service is over, we're going across the street to Denny Park to dedicate the labyrinth. And as we've been unfolding in this year, we've been talking about the different kinds of dreams personally, in our finances, in our relationship, in our profession, in spirituality, and you name it. But we also have dreams that not only are for us, but for our community and for our nation and for our world. And so the dream that is celebrated today, that is manifested, is the dream of our community, the dream for Lake Union. And we have been praying and blessing the neighborhood of Lake Union for, probably 4 or 5 months. So I want to share with you the story of the labyrinth and the story of Jackie Roberts, and she gave me permission to share her story. Many of you probably remember Harker. Harker had a canvas labyrinth, and she would put it in the chapel, and she'd bring it for us, and every couple of months, we would walk through it in between services or after church. And Jackie was walking the labyrinth. So that's really nice, but it sure would be nice if we had a labyrinth all the time that we could walk. The next Sunday happened to be our church picnic, and this is last year in 2010. And she looked around the park and the beautiful trees, and she thought, God, it would be really nice to have a labyrinth at Denny Park. That'd be beautiful. So I ran into her at the picnic, and she shared this vision with me. And she said, it'd be great to have a labyrinth. And I said, it would. And she goes, would the church be behind that? I said, yes. Who would do that? And I said, I don't know, Jackie, maybe you. The truth is that whenever we have an idea, right, It was given to us for a reason. And so whenever we have an idea come through us, rather than handing it off to somebody and say, hey, do you think you could do this? The dream is really for us. So Jackie then began to research and pursue what would it take, have meetings. What would it take to have a labyrinth at Denny Park? And she asked, would the church, have funds for it? And no, we don't really have funds, but we could, see what we could do. So she went to the parks, to Denny Parks, and she said, look, do you guys have any money for this project? Or do you have any, money left over in your accounts? And they said, well, yeah, we actually do. We do have some money. And it turned out to be the amount that we needed to put in the labyrinth. And she also got a lot of people to donate their services as well. So I share this story, and the story is like the labyrinth, because in the labyrinth you step foot in it and you think, piece of cake, I'm almost there, I can see the goal, I'm going to go right there. And then as you walk in the labyrinth, you find yourself all of a sudden in a different place, don't you? All of a sudden you're on the outside and you're like, how long is it going to take me to get over there? And then you think you're there, and then you're over there, and then when you're not looking, then you're in the center. So the thing that happens in our dreams is we head out toward our manifested goal, whatever it might be, and then life shows up and life happens. And when we think we're going this way, we may end up going that way. And that's what happened for Jackie. This summer, her husband Melvin went in for shoulder surgery. Kind of a big deal, but not so big a deal. Shoulder surgery. And something went wrong during the surgery itself. And when he came out, he had incomplete spinal injury as a result of hematoma. Now, the good news is that because it's incomplete, we're holding for healing. But currently, he is in a wheelchair, and their life got turned upside down. Jackie was, platforming, and she said, I got to let go of that. I have a lot of things that I'm taking care of, and I need to let go of that. And I said, that's fine. We'll support you in whatever way we can. And Jackie was traveling, enjoying her retirement, and doing all these different things. And then life handed her and Melvin totally something unforeseen and unbidden. She thought about letting go of the labyrinth, and of course, with a big issue like this. And she said she was talking to the social worker at the hospital, and whenever she mentioned the labyrinth, her social worker said that she would be filled with light, that there was an excitement in her voice and a passion. Remember we talked about dreams? We've been talking about it all year, but remember how we talked about how do you know it's your dream? Do you love it? Are you excited by it? Does it give you, are you passionate about it? And her social worker recognized this light that would go on in her whenever she talked about it. And so she decided that it's the one thing that she's not going to give up, that she is going to stay with it. We're headed in a direction, and then life happens. So I want to share with you some of the wisdom that she has gleaned. She said, during this awful summer, working on the labyrinth has given me moments of joy when I thought there was none. It has given me victories when I thought I saw defeat dealing with the healthcare system. When I asked what you've learned, she says, I've always been tenacious, but I have learned, and this is a big one, I have learned to receive help from others. How difficult is it for us to ask for help when we need it? My guess is that most of us in this room are really good at offering help and serving, but when we need help, when we need assistance, it may not be so easy not only not to ask, but to accept it and to receive it. We walked around Green Lake last week, and Jackie said that she's overwhelmed by the love, by the prayers, and by the support. Not only that this community has given, the men's group went to the house and built ramps, but but her many, many friends have just embraced and loved her. And she said she's just blown away by that experience. She said, trust in spirit. It is done in God's time according to God's schedule, not yours. She said, I have been guided all the way to make this happen. And when I get discouraged, I would always get help, or I'd get an idea or encouragement or information from someplace to proceed to the next step. And sometimes we can't see what the next step is, right? We jump ahead, and the truth is, just look with what's right in front of us. She said, I really think that the labyrinth has been there all the time, just waiting for the right moment, the right people to work together to make it happen. And I can see Melvin walking it one day. Can we see that with her? Can we see that with Melvin? Can we hold that vision? And so as we bless this labyrinth today, let us visualize that as well. Jackie, thank you so much. When one of us manifests our dreams, it lifts up the entire community. It is inspirational, and that labyrinth will be there, hopefully, for many, many generations to come, and will continue to bless this area. So community is really important. It's important that we share each other's dreams, and it's important that we come together in support of one another. It's important that we serve one another. I just want to share one short story and we'll wrap up. I had to do a memorial service last week for a 17-month-old baby who died accidentally. And it was, what I appreciated was this family's community showed up. There were about 70 or 80 people in the chapel. And everyone held the silence and held the family. There's not a lot to say in a service like that because the baby hasn't lived very long, you know. The eulogy is pretty short. And when I asked for people to speak, a friend of the baby's grandmother stood up. And I want to share with you what she said because it was something we all need to hear. She said to the baby's grandmother, she said, you know, there were years ago, I was having a very hard time in life. I was having a traumatic experience, and I didn't want to see anybody, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. And she said, and there was a knock on my door, and I opened the door, and there was Robin, baby's grandmother. She goes, Robin was standing there, and she had a tray of food. And I looked at her, and I said, I don't want to eat. And Robin said, you don't have to eat. I am just here. You don't have to talk. You don't have to eat. I am giving you the gift of my presence. And what she asked the community to do was to give the gift of their presence to this family that was grieving. And so this is the gift that we have to give one another. So as we continue in our dreaming, as we celebrate the labyrinth, let's remember that life is like a labyrinth, that you may be heading down one direction and then life goes, you're going to go that way. And it doesn't mean that you have to give up on your dream. It might mean, though, that you might have to ask for help. You might have to say, I need some assistance here. And of course, we ask each other, but also we ask God. We ask Spirit. We put love into our dreams. We put love into our prayers. We're gentle with ourselves. We practice loving kindness with ourselves. So I invite you to join us across the street. And tomorrow, as you celebrate Halloween, recognize that the veil is thin between the two worlds. And take it as an opportunity to begin turning your own face to your own inner silence and darkness and quiet. In the stillness, be still and know that I am God. Amen.